Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julian, and today I'm going to go over one of the major problems that the film industry is facing today. First off, I just want to say that movies are magical. Imagine sitting down in a theater, and from the time the warm and moody lights dimmed over the red velvet walls to the rolling ocean of ending credits, all sense of spatial and temporal awareness is lost. Films are one of the most immersive forms of art and storytelling. Movies cater to the modern mania of instant gratification, stemming from the public's low attention span, and that as soon as a movie starts, the viewer's sense of sight and sound are monopolized by the piece. A film allows the viewer to be a fly on the wall inside of the story, presenting a first-hand point of view of the subject or main character, while at the same time showing perspectives of the people around them. They are even able to go so far as to show the events going on outside of that character's knowledge. This all stems from the mind and creativity of the storyteller or filmmaker. Modern movie culture, however, is losing the paramount principles that make movies unique and stand out among other forms of art. While the ever-growing craze of sequels and remakes, film as an artistic medium is being drowned out by redundancy. Filmmakers and film companies are now more concerned with blockbusting and revenue generation than anything else. Therefore, contemporary film has become oversaturated by sequels, prequels, and remakes, which has hindered the overall success and recognition of original and independent film, as well as slowed the innovation and change of film over time. Sequels aren't independent to film alone. Many other forms of art and storytelling incorporate sequels, like novels, music, and television series. Just because sequels are becoming a problem in movie culture doesn't make them inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with creating a follow-up story where there is more story to be told. Take Lord of the Rings, for example. The original was The Hobbit, and they later made the sequel, Lord of the Rings, as a follow-up for that. But it ended up going into more depth and more of the lore of the entire world that Tolkien created, just coming from that sequel. So, it's okay if you're doing sequels, just because you want to tell more of the story, but the second you divert from that, and the second you start taking, sequels and doing them over and over and over again, using the same plot devices, the same story, the same problems that the characters face over and over again, it becomes boring, it becomes redundant, nobody wants to see it, they're just doing it for the money at this point. These companies recognize that when the audience falls in love with an amicable character or compelling narrative, they crave more. Many sequels can actually be considered remakes in that they copy the same story, plot devices, and formulas as the original. Taking this idea, film companies have been creating low expense, low risk, and profitable sequels. They don't even expect these sequels to generate as much revenue as the original. However, they will at the very least profit. From a capitalistic standpoint, this is an intelligent and practical business model. But from an artist's point of view, this practice is lazy and unimaginative. One of the biggest deterrents for original film is marketing. Every year, corporations like Marvel, Disney, and MGM Studios spend egregious amounts of money on advertising and marketing to create elaborate, fantastical commercials and internet ads for remakes, prequels, and sequels. These film companies typically use more than half of the entire film's budget for marketing. That is insane. That's around $50 million to $100 million per movie. These advertisements are designed to appear during every commercial break, on every channel, and they even follow you throughout your online browser history. In this way, they dominate the public eye. This leaves very little opportunity for original filmmakers to proclaim their experiments, leaving many original films hidden in the shadows, only visible to those who seek them. Because these original, innovative films are so hard to come by, and because more and more directors are moving towards the culture of sequels and remakes, the growth of film as an art form is slowing down exponentially. For example, look at the difference between films made in the 1930s and the 1970s versus the difference between films made from the 70s and now. The difference is unmeasurable. In the 30s, they didn't have good lighting, they didn't have good, camera techniques, the acting was piss poor. Everything has changed from the 30s to the 70s, but really not much has changed from the 70s and now. Fewer and fewer filmmakers are taking the necessary risks for film to culminate and become something new. It's curious that throughout film history, some of the most creative, groundbreaking, well-put-together films have been created on a relatively low budget, while many of the multi-million-dollar films are more of the same, unoriginal, overhyped letdowns. They are getting in the way of innovative minds and filmmakers, as well as taking those already successful minds like Christopher Nolan or Sam Raimi, and like a puppet on a golden string, having them spend all of their time and efforts on creating more and more of these rehashed films for the intent of capital gain. I mean, imagine if movies like Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill were never even heard of by the general public. We wouldn't have any other Tarantino films or know about the wonderful, imaginative, and innovative works he has created over the past years. This trend of remakes and sequels is slowly killing the creative expression, outside-of-the-box thinking, and innovation of original film. While more remakes and sequels will give analysts a broader understanding of the cultural trends and social patterns that influence them, that is not a compromise I am willing to take. Original film is left bobbing in the wake of blockbuster remakes and sequels, whose sole purpose is to accrue as much money as possible in order to create more remakes or sequels of the already unoriginal pieces. Thank you.